You're watching the AI Report. We have some really important news today. Stick around until the end. Let's get into it. Probably the most consequential news piece this entire month. Yesterday, a federal judge upheld a finding from the U.S. Copyright Office that a piece of art created by AI can't be protected by copyright. Human authorship is a bedrock requirement, the opinion stressed. Interesting. This can be a landmark case and serve as a precedent for what I assume will become a legal nightmare that will ensue. I think this decision on its own might make sense. It kind of feels wrong for the person who came up with the prompt to hold copyright over the generated text or art, while the creators whose data was used to train the AIs not have any rights over the generated content. What's concerning is that this case might extend to alleged copyright infringement by the mere act of training AIs on other people's content, in which case current LLMs might become illegal and companies will have to start training LLMs all over on data they can legally use. Who knows? It may even be the right thing to do ethically, but does anyone care about ethics when we have all these cool new toys we can play with? Also, a very strong case can be made that not only AIs don't infringe any copyrights, but the person prompting the AIs is the copyright owner. Let's say you're a writer, for example. Your entire life, you've been reading Ernest Hemingway and James Joyce and Fyodor Dostoevsky, for example. When you sit down to write a book of your own, you will obviously sound a little bit like them, or maybe a lot like them, at least in your first few bad attempts at writing a book. But will Hemingway and Dostoevsky and Joyce have copyright over your work just because they influenced you, or to use a more appropriate terminology here, because they kind of trained you? The same argument can be extended to AIs. It's just that they're a million times more powerful, so now the question of scale becomes an issue. I'm not gonna sit here in this pretty uncomfortable chair and look into my cheap camera and tell you that I know what the correct answer is. We know that everyone is super wise these days and they have all the correct answers and the perfect witty tweets and all of that, but I will refrain from that, even though I'm enormously tempted to sound like a smartass. I guess this decision can go either way. For now, I feel like it's unfair to expect humans and AIs to compete on the same playing field, and maybe there's nothing wrong if we can create laws that are more in favor of human creators. Obviously, I might change my mind as I learn more about the subject. Next, we have Bhashini, India's first AI-powered translator. The tool was announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the G20 Digital Economy Ministerial Meeting in Bengaluru. India has more than 850 million people on the internet, and Bhashini will help the ones who don't speak other languages access content that's not written in one of India's languages. Yeah, good move here. A lot of people whose opinions I respect believe that India will be the next big thing in tech, the next big tech hub, and moves like this kind of confirm that hypothesis. In other insane progress news, check out this video of an insanely accurate robot peeling a tiny egg. Wow. Look at the patience of this robot. If I had to do this, I would just eat the entire egg along with the shell. What? It punctures the egg and then it stitches it? Seriously? These kinds of robots are already in use in medicine. The most famous is called Da Vinci, I believe. They will get better over time. And with robots and AIs getting better over time, humans will have no choice but to get better as well. A study by IBM on over 3,000 C-level executives from 28 countries and 21,000 workers from 22 countries finds that 40% of workers will have to upgrade their skills and reskill for using AI tools. If only there was a channel that talked about AI news and important events and tools and tutorials. Seriously guys, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, now's your chance. Moving on, a Redditor and Twitter user Tech Practice 1 turns an old gaming CPU into a lightweight AI chip. The Ryzen 5 4600G has a 6-core CPU and a 7-core GPU and sells for just $95. Tech Practice 1 turned it into a 16GB VRAM GPU that can run some non-trivial AI applications on Linux. Looks like a very clever way to try and not drop $40,000 on an NVIDIA AI chip. We may see the price of AI chips drop because of improvisations like this actually. By the way, this reminds me of the crypto craze, when people started to repurpose any compute hardware they had into miners. Except this time, I expect things to be a lot crazier because AI seems to provide a lot more use cases than crypto. And finally, speaking of crazy things, we have a series of videos posted on Twitter that demonstrate creepy surveillance AI in action. Let's start with something light, like, say, counting the numbers of cups that each employee in a coffee shop makes, and also counting the time customers spend in the shop. Okay, this looks like the wet dream of a little tyrant manager. Yeah, I know people who would love this. Anna has made 20 cups, while Olga has made just 3. Better step up your cup game, Olga. We also have AI surveillance cameras for the streets. This AI is tracking all the people and the vehicles that pass on this street corner. Yeah, this can go really wrong. But wait, there's more. It's not just cameras in cafes and on street corners. We can have the cameras moving as well. This is a drone with AI tracking capabilities. They can monitor everything. Yeah, I can already think of a few 3-letter agencies in 5-letter countries that not only love this technology, but probably use it already. Okay, this is scary. I know people hardly care about privacy anymore. In fact, everyone seems to be obsessed with the opposite of privacy and just wants more attention. But the potential for things going south is amazing here. I myself am a content creator, and probably my thirst for attention is slightly bigger than the average, although the youngster TikTok star wannabes these days, they're kinda raising the average. But this is serious. I am being recorded by a camera right now, but that's because I pressed the record button. Also, the camera isn't judging and analyzing and labeling me. That's actually your job. But it's definitely not the job of a government agency. As much as I am pro-AI progress, I still think it shouldn't mess with one of the most fundamental God-given human rights, which is the right to be left alone. And that's the way it is. That was the AI Report. Come on. You know that speaking up against oppression deserves a like and a subscribe. Hit those damn buttons, and I will see you tomorrow.